C-SPAN's local content vehicles are traveling the country as we look at some of the most closely contested House races leading up to this November's midterm elections.
We have two candidates for the U.S. House, and I think they're very well known. I want to recognize them and ask them to come introduce themselves. One is, of course, a native son of York, and he won't need to do much of that. U.S. Representative John Spratt, Jr.
I'm not going to say much because it doesn't need to be said. One thing I want to observe, though. York is still a small town, but there are those of us who love it, and I see faces throughout this audience who fall in that category. We don't have all the amenities of a large city like Charlotte, but I'll tell you what we've got and got in abundance, and that's hospitality.
Congressman Spratt is one of only two Democrats serving in Congress from South Carolina. The other is Jim Clyburn, who's one of the top-ranking Democrats in the House. This would be a huge pickoff opportunity for Republicans, which helps explain why they've devoted so much attention to this race. Congressman Spratt, of course, chairs the Budget Committee. He's one of Nancy Pelosi's key people in the House, and he's one of the top Democrats on the Armed Services Committee. And with his longevity, with his leadership, he's certainly been a high-profile congressman, and it would be a considerable blow to Democrats to lose him. Congressman Spratt has been in Congress for 28 years. He's serving his 14th term. He's the longest-serving congressman in South Carolina. He's chairman of the Budget Committee, and he's the second-ranking Democrat on the Armed Services Committee. He's really carved out a reputation as the budget guru in the House. One of his signature achievements was helping President Clinton pass the Balanced Budget Agreement in 1997, and he's now serving on President Obama's Deficit Commission. Congressman Spratt's won pretty handily in the last several elections. His most serious challenge came in 1994, which was the year of the Gingrich-led revolution. He won by 4 points that year against a well-known businessman from Rock Hill, who later challenged him again 2 years later in 1996. Spratt won that race. Spratt had a serious challenge in 2006 from a state representative. He won with 57% of the vote and really has not had a serious challenger since.
We went to a lunch in Bishopville. It was a Republican, billed as a Republican club lunch in Bishopville. And I spoke to 65 people at a Republican club in Bishopville. And I began by saying, I didn't think there were 65 Republicans in Lee County. And someone stood up and said, there aren't.
This year, Senator Mulvaney, Mick Mulvaney, who is a state senator from Indian Land, decided to challenge him. Senator Mulvaney said he attended a town hall meeting on health care last summer and saw the level of concern that people had there about health care reform, and said he decided that he needed to run for Congress and challenge Congressman Spratt to explain his vote on health care. Senator Mulvaney is 42 years old. He lives in Indian Land, which is in the northern section of the district. It's a suburb of Charlotte. He has an interesting background. He attended Georgetown University, earned a law degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, practiced law for a few years, and then decided to go into business. He ran for the State House in 2006, served there for 2 years, moved to the State Senate where he's serving now, and of course now he's involved in his run for Congress. When Senator Mulvaney got into the race, he said he wanted to keep it focused on 3 particular issues. One was health care reform, another was the cap-and-trade program, and another was the stimulus package. He said he wanted to run a simple campaign that was based on his opposition to those 3 initiatives. And health care, of course, has emerged as really the most high-profile issue. Senator Mulvaney contends that this district did not want the health care reform that was delivered by Democrats in Congress. Congressman Spratt, of course, voted in favor of health care reform, helped pass it through the Budget Committee, and has really had to defend his vote every step along the way. The 5th District stretches across 14 counties in the upper portion of South Carolina, and it's really divided into 3 regions. You have the Charlotte suburbs in the northern half of the district, which include York and Lancaster counties. You have the Midlands region, which is closer to Columbia in the center of the state. And then you have the PD River area, which is much more rural, more agriculture in that section. Congressman Spratt likes to call it a three-ring circus because you need to keep projects and initiatives going in each of the three parts of the district in order to satisfy the constituents. The 5th District has been hard hit by the economic downturn. This region once relied on the textile industry. Textile mills were a huge employer really in every part of the district, and of course textiles began fading away in the 80s and 90s. Now we're almost completely gone, and many parts of the district are still trying to make the transition away from the textile-based economy, and the economic downturn certainly didn't make that any easier. Well, South Carolina is, of course, one of the most conservative states in the country. The 5th District is considered more moderate than the rest of South Carolina, but this district still leans conservative. John Spratt has been somewhat of an anomaly for South Carolina, a Democrat serving in a very conservative state. He's been able to maintain a brand as being independent-minded, being very conscious of the budget, being very conscious of spending discipline, and that's really going to be tested in this race. A lot of people in the district are upset about health care reform. They're upset about the bank bailouts. They're upset about the stimulus package and what they see as reckless government spending. We've covered several Tea Party rallies outside Congressman Spratt's district office. We haven't seen this level of emotion and engagement in the 5th District in quite a while, possibly ever, and that's what Congressman Spratt is having to contend with as he seeks a 15th term.
C-SPAN's local content vehicles are traveling the country, visiting communities and congressional districts as we look at some of the most closely contested House races leading up to this November's midterm elections. For more information on what the local content vehicles are up to this election season, visit our website, cspan.org/LCV.